The ship was dying. Park could feel it in the way the metal groaned around him, in the way the lights flickered like candles in a storm. Red warning lights painted everything in blood color. Alarms screamed so loud that he could barely hear his own thoughts. Shouted over the noise, "We need to cut the main engine now." His co-pilot was already working at the controls. Hands moved fast across the panels but could see the fear in his friend's eyes. They had flown together for 3 years. They had survived asteroid storms and pirate attacks, but this was different. The engine was tearing itself apart, and they were falling toward an unknown moon in uncharted space. They had been a good ship, a cargo vessel, nothing fancy but reliable. She had carried them across dozens of star systems without complaint. Now her hull was cracking, and fire was spreading through her lower decks. "I can't stop it," yelled back. "The fuel lines are ruptured. We have maybe 2 minutes before." He never finished the sentence. A massive explosion rocked the ship. The force threw against his seat restraints so hard that he tasted blood. When he looked over his heart stopped. A piece of metal had come through the ceiling. It had gone straight through his chest. His friend's eyes were still open, still looking at the controls, but there was no life in them anymore. "No," whispered, "no, no, no." But there was no time to grieve. The ship was still falling. Through the cracked viewport could see green jungle rushing up to meet them. He grabbed the manual controls with shaking hands and pulled with all his strength. They hit the ground like a meteor. The world became noise and pain and darkness. Felt his body thrown around like a toy. Something hit his head and everything went black. When he woke up, everything was quiet. The alarms had stopped. The only sound was the dripping of some liquid and the distant calls of strange birds. Opened his eyes slowly. His whole body hurt. His left arm was bleeding badly and his ribs felt like they were broken. But he was alive. He unstrapped himself from his seat and fell to the floor. The ship was tilted at a bad angle. Smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Crawled toward the emergency supplies, grabbing the medical kit and the survival pack. Then he crawled toward. His friend was gone, knew this, but he could not leave him in the burning ship. With great effort, he pulled his body out of the seat and dragged him toward the broken hull. Every movement sent waves of pain through his injured body. Outside, the air was thick and wet. The jungle surrounded the crashed ship like a green wall. Strange plants with leaves bigger than a man grew everywhere. The sky above was purple, with 2 small moons visible even in daylight. Had no idea where he was. His communication equipment was destroyed. His beacon was broken. He was alone on an alien world, injured, with limited supplies and no hope of rescue. But first, he had to bury his friend. It took him 4 hours to dig the grave. His broken ribs screamed with every movement. His bleeding arm had soaked through 3 bandages, but he kept digging until the hole was deep enough. Then he gently lowered into the earth. "I'm sorry," said quietly. "I'm sorry I couldn't save you. You were the best friend I ever had. You deserved better than this." He covered the grave with dirt and marked it with a piece of metal from the ship. On it, he scratched his name with his knife. It was not much of a grave marker, but it was all he could do. After that, focused on survival. He knew the basics from his training in the Korean Space Corps. He had been a medic before becoming a cargo pilot. He knew how to treat wounds, how to find water, how to build shelter. These skills had seemed boring during training. Now they would keep him alive. The first day, he treated his injuries properly. He set his broken ribs as best he could, stitched his arm wound, and cleaned the cut on his head. He found a small stream nearby and tested the water with his emergency kit. It was safe to drink. Small victory. The second day, he explored the area around the crash site. The jungle was dangerous. He saw creatures that looked like giant insects, with sharp mandibles and too many legs. He saw plants that snapped at him when he got too close. He learned quickly which paths were safe and which ones to avoid. The third day, he rationed his food carefully. He had enough emergency rations for maybe a week if he was careful. After that, he would need to find food in this alien jungle. The thought was not pleasant. By the third night, had settled into a routine of survival. He had built a small shelter from ship debris and large leaves. He had collected enough water to last several days. He had mapped out the immediate area. He was sitting by a small fire, trying not to think about how alone he was, when he heard something that made his blood freeze. A scream, high-pitched and terrified, the scream of a child. Was on his feet before he could think. Every survival instinct told him to stay hidden, to not investigate strange sounds in an alien jungle at night. But that sound was unmistakable. Somewhere out there, a child was in terrible danger. He grabbed his knife and his flashlight and ran into the darkness. The jungle at night was even more terrifying than during the day. Strange glowing plants cast weird shadows. Animals he could not see made sounds all around him. The screaming had stopped, which was somehow worse than hearing it continue. Pushed through thick vegetation, following the direction where the sound had come from. His injuries slowed him down, but he did not stop. He could not stop. If there was a child out there, hurt and scared, he had to help. It did not matter that he was on an alien world. It did not matter that the child probably was not human. Some things were universal. A child's scream sounded the same in any language, on any world. After 20 minutes of struggling through the jungle, heard it again. Not a scream this time, but a whimper, soft and weak, close. He pushed through one more wall of leaves and found himself at the edge of a ravine. Water rushed at the bottom, swollen from recent rain. And there, clinging to a root on the ravine wall, was a small figure. Shined his flashlight down. His breath caught in his throat. It was not a human child. The little creature had pale blue skin and large silver eyes. Its ears were pointed, and faint patterns glowed softly on its arms. It wore torn clothing that looked expensive, like something royalty might wear. An alien child, maybe 6 or 7 years old by human standards. And below it, circling in the dark water, was something massive, something with scales and teeth and hungry eyes. The child looked up its light. Their eyes met. The little alien's face was full of terror and exhaustion. Its grip on the root was failing. Did not hesitate. He started climbing down into the ravine. The rocks were wet and slippery. His injured arm screamed in pain as he climbed down the ravine wall. His broken ribs made every breath feel like fire. But he did not stop. Below him, the alien child was losing its grip on the root. The creature in the water had noticed him now. It circled faster, its massive body creating waves in the dark water. Could see it more clearly as he got closer. It was like a serpent, but bigger than any snake on Earth. Its body was as thick as a tree trunk. Its scales were black and shiny. When it opened its mouth, saw 3 rows of teeth, each one as long as his finger. The child whimpered again. One of its small hands slipped from the root. It was hanging by only one arm now. The water was rising quickly, getting closer to the child's dangling feet. "Hold on," shouted. He did not know if the child could understand him. He did not care. He just needed to reach it in time. He climbed faster, ignoring the pain, ignoring the voice in his head that told him this was crazy. The serpent creature saw him getting closer. It rose from the water, hissing loudly. A warning. This was its territory. This was its prey. Reached a narrow ledge just above the child. He lay flat on his stomach and reached down with his good arm. The child looked up at him with those huge silver eyes. So much fear, so much hope. "Take my hand," said. He stretched as far as he could. The child did not understand his words, but it understood what he meant. It reached up with its free hand. Their fingers touched, grabbed the small hand tightly and pulled. At that moment, the serpent struck. It launched out of the water like a missile. Its jaws opened wide, aiming for the child. Pulled with all his strength, yanking the child up just as the serpent's teeth snapped shut on empty air. He rolled backward, clutching the small alien to his chest. But they were not safe. They were still on a narrow ledge, halfway down a ravine with an angry serpent below them. And now the creature was truly angry. It thrashed in the water, creating huge waves. Then it started climbing. Had not expected that. The serpent's body coiled around rocks and roots, pulling itself up the ravine wall. It was coming for them. "We need to move," said. He set the child on its feet. "Can you climb?" The child was shaking badly. There were cuts and bruises on its blue skin. One of its legs seemed hurt. It tried to stand but almost fell, caught it before it could tumble off the ledge. There was no time to think. He put the child on his back. "Hold on tight," he said. The small arms wrapped around his neck, almost too tight, but he did not complain. Started climbing up with a child on his back and a monster chasing him. His body screamed in protest. His stitches tore open and he felt warm blood running down his arm. His ribs stabbed him with every movement, but he kept climbing. The serpent was fast, could hear it getting closer. He could smell its breath, a horrible smell like rotting fish and death. He did not look down. Looking down would only slow him. He was almost at the top when his foot slipped. For one terrible moment he hung by only his hands, the child's weight pulling him down. The serpent lunged and felt its teeth scrape against his boot. Too close, way too close. With a desperate grunt, he pulled himself up. His fingers found the edge of the ravine. He threw one arm over the top and dragged himself and the child onto solid ground. But the serpent was right behind them. Its huge head appeared over the edge, jaws opening for another strike. Did not think. He pulled out his survival knife and stabbed. The blade went into the serpent's eye. The creature screamed, a horrible high-pitched sound that hurt his ears. It thrashed wildly, its body slamming against the ravine walls. Then it fell back into the water below with a massive splash. For a long moment just lay there, breathing hard. The child was still on his back, arms wrapped tight around his neck. He could feel its small body shaking. "It's okay," he said softly. "It's gone, you're safe now." He gently lifted the child off his back and set it down on the soft jungle floor. In the faint light from the glowing plants, he got his first good look at the little alien. It was beautiful in a strange way. The pale blue skin looked soft like flower petals. The silver eyes were huge, taking up half of its face. The glowing patterns on its arms pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Its hair was white and silky, now tangled and dirty from its ordeal. The child stared at him with a mix of wonder and lingering fear, realized that he must look terrifying. He was covered in blood and dirt. His clothes were torn. He was a strange alien creature that had just fought a monster. Slowly, carefully, he sat down and held out his hands, showing that they were empty. He smiled, hoping the expression meant the same thing to this species. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said gently. "My name is I'm going to help you." The child blinked those big silver eyes. Then slowly, it said something in a language did not understand. Its voice was soft and musical like bells. Pointed at himself, he said again. The child tilted its head, then it pointed at itself. It said, despite everything, smiled, "Hello, nice to meet you." The child seemed to understand that this was a greeting. A tiny smile appeared on its face. Then its eyes went to its bleeding arm and the smile disappeared. It reached out with small fingers and touched the wound gently. When it pulled its hand back, there was blood on its blue fingers. Made a distressed sound. It pointed at the wound, then its face, clearly asking if he was okay. "It's not so bad," lied. "Let's worry about you first." He opened his medical kit and checked the child for injuries. There were several cuts and bruises, and one ankle was badly swollen, probably twisted during whatever accident had put the child in that ravine. Cleaned the wounds carefully, applying the gentlest bandages he had. The whole time, watched him with those curious silver eyes. When he was done with the child, treated his own wounds, he was in bad shape. The fight with the serpent had made everything worse. His arm wound had torn open completely. His ribs felt like broken glass inside his chest. He was exhausted and dizzy from blood loss. But he had to stay awake. They were still in the middle of a dangerous jungle, and he was responsible for this child now. He looked around and found a hollow space between two large rocks. It would provide some shelter. He gathered the child in his arms and carried it to the hiding spot, made a small sound of protest but was too tired to really fight. Sat with his back against the rock, keeping the child close to share warmth. The jungle sounds continued all around them, dangerous sounds, hungry sounds, but for now they were hidden. He looked down at the sleeping child in his arms, so small, so fragile. He did not know where it had come from or what had happened. He did not know if anyone was looking for this child. He did not know if they would survive tomorrow. But he knew one thing. He would protect this child with his life. It did not matter that they were different species. It did not matter that they could not understand each other. It was just a scared child who needed help, and would give it. As the night grew darker and the jungle grew louder, he sat there holding the alien child, staying awake, staying watchful. His body hurt everywhere. His heart still ached for, but somehow in the quiet darkness holding this small life, he found a strange kind of peace. Stirred in her sleep, pressing closer to his warmth, she mumbled something in her language. Then very softly she said his name. "Oh." He smiled through the pain. "I'm here, little one. I'm not going anywhere." And in that moment, in the darkness of an alien jungle, something connected them. Something that went beyond language or species or worlds. Something simple and powerful. Trust. Empress had not slept in 3 days. She stood at the window of her warship looking down at the green moon below. Somewhere in that jungle was her daughter, her youngest child, her little. The Empress was tall and beautiful, with the same pale blue skin and silver eyes as her daughter. But there was no softness in her face now. Her expression was cold as ice, hard as stone. Anyone who saw her would think she felt nothing. They would be wrong. Inside was screaming. 3 days ago had been on a supervised expedition to study the wildlife of this moon. It was supposed to be safe. There were guards, there were protocols. But then raiders had attacked. In the chaos had disappeared. Her guards were found dead. Her tracking signal had gone dark. For 3 days had searched. She had sent hundreds of soldiers into the jungle. She had threatened to burn the entire moon if her daughter was not found. But the jungle was vast, and the raiders had left no trail. "My Empress," said Commander, approaching carefully. He was her most trusted warrior, a veteran of many battles. Even he was afraid to disturb her now. "We have found something." Turned, her silver eyes were like knives. "My daughter." Her signal. It appeared briefly, about 2 hours ago. Very faint, but we traced it to a location in the eastern jungle. "Then why are we still here?" His voice was quiet but sharp. "Take me there now." The shuttle descended through the purple sky, carrying the Empress and her elite guards, stood at the front, watching the jungle grow closer. Her hands were clenched into fists. Her heart pounded in her chest. Please, she thought, please let her be alive. The shuttle landed in a small clearing. Immediately, the guards spread out, weapons ready, stayed close to the Empress as she stepped out into the humid air. "The signal came from this direction," said, pointing deeper into the jungle. "Half a mile, maybe less." Started walking. Her elegant robes caught on branches and thorns, but she did not care. She moved through the jungle like a ghost, silent and fast. Her guards struggled to keep up. After 20 minutes, one of the scouts returned with news. "My Empress, we found something. There is a crashed ship about a quarter-mile ahead, human design." Human? The word sent a chill through. Humans were a young species from a distant part of the galaxy. They had minimal contact with them, and what contact they had was not friendly. Humans were known for violence and aggression. They spread across the stars like a disease, taking what they wanted. "If they have harmed my daughter," said softly, "I will burn their entire species." They found the crashed ship first. It was small, clearly a cargo vessel. It had been destroyed by the impact, black and broken among the green plants. Near the ship, they found a grave, a single marker with a human name scratched into metal. "One human dead," reported, "but the ship had 2 seats. There may be a survivor." Said nothing. She stared at the grave for a moment, then continued walking. Her guards spread out, searching for any sign of her daughter or the surviving human. Then she heard it, a voice, human words she did not understand, and then another voice, small and high-pitched. Ran. She pushed through the jungle, ignoring the branches that scratched her face, ignoring everything except that voice. She burst through a wall of leaves and stopped. There in a small clearing stood her daughter, alive, healthy, holding the hand of a human. The human looked terrible. He was covered in blood and dirt. His arm was wrapped in bloody bandages. He moved slowly, painfully, clearly injured. But he was talking to in a gentle voice and was looking up at him with complete trust. For one moment could not move. Relief flooded through her like a wave. Her daughter was alive. Her baby was safe. Then the guards arrived, and everything changed. "Step away from the princess," shouted. Dozens of weapons pointed at the human. Soldiers surrounded them from all directions. The human raised his hand slowly. His face showed no fear, only a calm acceptance, but he did not move away from. Screamed, not in fear of the human, but in fear for him. She threw herself in front of him, spreading her small arms wide. She shouted in, her voice high and desperate. "Do not hurt him, he saved me. He fought the great serpent for me." Stepped forward. The guards parted to let her through. She walked toward her daughter and the human, studying them both carefully. Ran to her mother, wrapping her small arms around his waist. The Empress held her child tightly, finally allowing herself to breathe. "Are you hurt?" asked softly. "My ankle hurts," said, "but O fixed it. He fixed all my cuts. Mother, he saved me from the monster. You cannot hurt him, please." Looked at the human over her daughter's head. He stood quietly, hands still raised, surrounded by weapons. His eyes met hers without flinching. "You saved my daughter," said in common, the trade language used across the galaxy. The human lowered his hand slightly. "She needed help," he said simply. His common was accented but clear. "The great serpent," continued, "you fought it." "I killed it or hurt it badly at least." The human touched his bloodied arm. "It was going to eat her. I didn't think about it. I just acted." Stepped closer to the Empress. "He is trespassing in territory," he said quietly. "The law demands his execution." "He saved the princess," another guard pointed out. "There is the matter of life debt." Held up her hand for silence. She looked at the human for a long moment. He looked back at her, steady and unafraid. There was something in his eyes that she had not expected. Kindness. Genuine kindness. "What is your name, human?" she asked. "Park," he replied. "Park," she tested the name. It felt strange on her tongue. "You are injured." "I'll live." A small smile crossed his face. "Probably." Mother said, pulling at his robes. "He is good. I know he looks scary, but he is good. When I was in the water, he came for me. He did not even think about it. He just came." Looked at her daughter's earnest face. Then she looked at the human again. She saw the wounds on his body, the exhaustion in his eyes, the way he had protected even when surrounded by enemies. "Commander," she said finally, "lower your weapons." "My Empress." "That is an order." Slowly, reluctantly, the guards lowered their weapons, looked unhappy but obeyed. Stepped toward the human. She was taller than him, and she looked down at him with an expression he could not read. "You saved my daughter's life," she said. In culture, this creates a debt that cannot be easily repaid. Do you understand? I didn't do it for a reward, said. I did it because it was right. Something flickered in Silver eyes, surprise perhaps, or respect. Nevertheless, a debt exists. You will come with us. You will be treated for your injuries, and then we will decide what to do with you, Park of the Humans. She turned and walked back toward the shuttle. The guards fell in around, escorting him. He went willingly, too tired and hurt to resist even if he wanted to. As they walked, a small hand slipped into his, looked up at him with her big silver eyes. Do not worry, oh, she whispered. I will not let them hurt you, I promise. Despite everything, smiled down at her. Thank you, little one. And together the human and the princess walked toward an uncertain future. The healing chamber was unlike anything had ever seen. Blue light filled the room, coming from crystals embedded in the walls. He lay on a soft platform while strange machines hummed around him. Whatever they were doing, it worked. His broken ribs no longer hurt. His arm wound had closed completely. Even the exhaustion was fading. But he was still a prisoner. 2 guards stood at the door at all times. They never spoke to him. They never looked at him with anything but suspicion and disgust. To them, he was an alien, a primitive creature from a barbaric species. Did not blame them. He knew the reputation of humans among older species. Violent, aggressive, dangerous. Humans had fought countless wars, both among themselves and against other species. Their history was written in blood. It did not matter that himself had never hurt anyone who did not deserve it. To these guards, he was just another human. On the 3rd day, the door opened and ran in. Oh, she jumped onto his bed and hugged him tightly. The guards moved to stop her, but she ignored them completely. I was so worried. They would not let me see you. Hugged her back carefully. I'm okay, little one, much better now. Mother said you were being healed. She said I had to wait. Pulled back and looked at him with serious eyes. Are you scared? Thought about lying but decided against it. A little, he admitted. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I told Mother you are good, said firmly. I told her many times. She listens to me sometimes. Before could respond, another figure appeared at the door. Commander, the head of the Royal Guard. His face was hard and unreadable. Human, the High Council wishes to see you, now. Grabs hand, I am coming too. Princess, that is not appropriate. I am coming, repeated. Her voice was stronger than a child should be. There was royal authority in it, inherited from her mother. Looked unhappy but did not argue. He led them through long hallways of the palace ship. Everything was beautiful and elegant, made of smooth stone and glowing crystal. Servants and nobles stopped to stare as they passed. A human walking freely in the heart of the empire. It was unheard of. The council chamber was massive, a circular room with seats rising in tiers around a central floor. Dozens of nobles sat watching as was led to the center. Their silver eyes studied him like scientists studying a strange insect. At the highest seat sat Empress. She wore formal robes of white and gold. A crown of crystal sat on her head. She looked magnificent and terrifying, like a goddess of ice and light. Beside her sat an older male with a kind face. Would later learn this was Elder, the royal advisor. Park's voice rang through the chamber. You stand before the High Council of the Empire. You have been accused of trespassing in our territory without permission. The punishment for this crime is death. Murmurs rippled through the council. Some looked satisfied, others curious. None looked friendly. However, continued, you have also performed a great service to the crown. You saved the life of Princess, 3rd daughter of the Empress. In our culture, this creates a life debt that binds us by honor. She leaned forward. The council must decide how to balance these 2 facts. Speak now if you have anything to say in your defense. Swallowed hard, every eye was on him, every silver gaze was judging him. My ship crashed in your territory by accident, he said, speaking as clearly as he could. I was carrying medical supplies to a colony in the outer systems. My engine failed. My co-pilot died in the crash. I was just trying to survive." "And the princess?" a council member asked. "How did you find her?" "I heard her scream in the night. I didn't know what was making that sound. I only knew it was someone in trouble, so I went to help." "You fought the great serpent," another council member said. "Those creatures have killed dozens of our warriors. Yet you, a human with only a knife, defeated one." "I heard it enough that it fell back," corrected. "I don't know if I killed it. I just knew I had to protect." "Why?" His voice cut through the murmurs. The room went silent. "Why would you risk your life for a child of a species you have never met? A species that might execute you for your trouble?" Looked at the Empress directly. "Because she was a child who needed help. That's all. It doesn't matter what species she is. It doesn't matter what might happen to me. When a child is in danger, you help. That's what humans do. At least that's what I do." Silence filled the chamber. The council members exchanged glances, even seemed taken aback by the simplicity of his answer. "He speaks truth," Elder said softly. "I can see no deception in him." "Truth does not change the law," countered. "He trespassed. The law demands punishment." "And the law also demands we honor life debts," replied. "These two laws are now in conflict. The Empress must decide which takes priority." All eyes turned too. She sat perfectly still, her face revealing nothing. Could only imagine the thoughts running through her mind. Political implications, ancient laws, the weight of tradition against the pull of gratitude. Then spoke. She had been quiet this whole time, standing beside, holding his hand. But now she stepped forward, facing her mother and the entire council. "Mother," she said, her small voice was clear and strong. "O saved my life. He was hurt and alone and scared, but he came for me anyway. He fought a monster for me. He kept me warm through the night. He shared his food with me even though he had so little." She looked around at the council. "Our laws say we must honor those who save royal blood. If we kill him instead, what does that say about our honor? What does it say about us?" A heavy silence followed. Even the most hostile council members seemed moved by the child's words. Stood, the council rose with her. "I have made my decision," she announced. "Park will not be executed. He has earned protection through his actions." Relief flooded through, but was not finished. "I declare him Aura." She used a word did not know. "From this day forward, he is under my personal protection. He is part of my household. Any harm done to him is harm done to the crown itself." The council erupted. Voices rose in shock and protest. Some nobles looked furious. Others looked confused. His face was like thunder. "This is unprecedented," one council member shouted. "A human given such status. It goes against everything we believe." "It goes against tradition," agreed calmly. "But not against law. The life debt is clear. My decision is final." She looked at, something passed between them. Not friendship, not yet, but perhaps respect, perhaps understanding. "You are no longer a prisoner, Park. You are a protected member of my house. You will be given quarters, clothing, and anything you need. In return, I expect you to honor this position. Do you understand?" Bowed his head. He was not sure if that was the right gesture, but it felt respectful. "I understand, Your Majesty. Thank you." "Do not thank me yet," said quietly so only he could hear. "Many in this empire will not accept you. There will be challenges ahead, but you saved my daughter. I do not forget such things." As was led from the council chamber, ran to catch up with him. She grabbed his hand again, grinning up at him with pure joy. "You see, I told you Mother would listen." He smiled down at her. "You did, thank you, little one." "Now you can stay," she said happily. "You can stay forever and ever. I will show you everything. My rooms, my toys, my other brothers and sisters. Oh, you will love it here, I promise." Looked back at the council chamber, where suspicious eyes still watched him. He thought about the long road ahead, the prejudice he would face, the danger of being a human among aliens who despised his species. But when he looked at smiling face, none of that seemed to matter. "I'm looking forward to it," he said. And surprisingly, he meant it. 6 months passed and changed. He learned the language, practicing every day until he could speak without accent. He learned their customs, their history, their complicated rules of honor and debt. He learned which gestures were polite and which were insulting. He learned how to walk through the palace without getting lost. He also learned to fight. Commander had suggested combat training as a test, expecting the human to fail and embarrass himself. Instead, arrived at the training grounds every morning before sunrise. He fought with wooden swords until his hands bled. He ran until his legs gave out. He learned martial arts with the dedication of a man who had nothing else to lose. At first, the other warriors laughed at him. They called him slow and weak and clumsy. They knocked him down again and again, taking pleasure in defeating the human, but got up every time. No matter how hard he was hit, no matter how much pain he felt, he always got back up. After 3 months, the laughter stopped. After 4 months, some warriors began to respect him. After 5 months, Commander himself admitted that the human had surprised him. "You do not fight like us," said one evening after training. "You are slower, weaker, but you do not stop, ever. Your body breaks, but your spirit remains whole. I have never seen anything like it." "Humans call it stubbornness," said with a tired smile. "We call it something else," replied. "We call it worthy." It was not friendship, not exactly, but it was respect, and that was enough for. While trained with warriors, he also spent time with. This was what really changed him, what really made the palace feel like home. Visited him every afternoon without fail. She would burst into his rooms with endless energy, dragging him to see some new corner of the palace or to meet some new creature in the royal gardens. She asked him 1,000 questions about Earth and humans and everything he knew. She listened to his answers with wide, fascinated eyes. In return, she taught him about her world. She showed him the crystal gardens where flowers sang in the wind. She introduced him to her older brothers and sisters, who regarded with varying degrees of curiosity and suspicion. She told him stories of heroes and legends while he told her stories from Earth. One afternoon, she asked him about his family. They were sitting in her favorite garden, surrounded by glowing plants and floating lights. Was making a crown of flowers, her small fingers working carefully. "Do you have a mother, oh?" she asked suddenly, "and a father?" Felt a pang in his chest. "Yes, they're on Earth very far away from here." "Do you miss them?" He was quiet for a moment. "Yes, very much." "Why did you not go back to them?" Looked up at him with innocent curiosity. "When Mother offered to let you go, why did you stay?" It was a question had asked himself many times. The Empress had told him he was free to leave if he wished. A ship could take him to human territory. He could go home. But he had said no. "I'm not sure," he admitted. I think I have something important here now, someone important." He looked at and she smiled, understanding perfectly. "You mean me," she said happily. "I mean you," he agreed. "Who else would drag me around the palace and ask me a million questions every day?" Laughed. It was a bright, beautiful sound. "I would miss you so much if you left. Oh, promise me you will never leave." "I promise," he said, and he meant it. Empress watched these interactions from a distance. She saw her daughter laughing with the human. She saw the way eyes lit up whenever entered a room. She saw something developing between them that was rare and precious. Culture was formal, especially with children. Young ones were raised by tutors and servants. Parents maintained emotional distance until the child came of age. It was tradition. It was proper. But did not follow tradition. He played with. He picked her up when she was tired. He listened to her stories about imaginary adventures. He treated her like the child she was, with warmth and patience and love. And flourished under this attention. She was happier than had ever seen her, more confident, more joyful. The trauma of her kidnapping seemed to fade more each day. One evening, the Empress summoned to her private chambers. It was the first time they had spoken alone since the council meeting months ago. Entered carefully, still unsure how to behave around the most powerful woman in the empire. Stood by a window looking out at the stars. Her formal robes were gone, replaced by simple white clothing. She looked almost human in that moment, almost approachable. "Sit," she said without turning. "I have questions for you." Sat in the offered chair. "Yes, Your Majesty." "I have watched you these past months." Finally turned to face him. "You have trained hard. You have learned our ways. You have made something like friendship with Commander, who hates humans more than anyone I know." "He's not so bad once you get to know him," said. Something like amusement flickered in silver eyes. "But mostly, I have watched you with my daughter. You treat her differently than anyone else does. Why?" Thought about his answer carefully. "She's a child. Children need attention, need affection. They need someone to play with them and listen to them and make them feel special. This is not how we raise our young." "I know, but maybe it should be." His expression was unreadable. For a long moment, she simply looked at him. Then she asked the question that had been on her mind since the day they met. "Why did you save her? That night in the jungle, you heard a scream and ran toward danger. You fought a creature that has killed dozens of warriors. You nearly died protecting a child you had never met." She stepped closer. "I have asked you this before and you gave me a simple answer. A child needed help, but I want to understand more. What makes a human do such things?" Met her gaze evenly. "Where I come from, we have a saying. The measure of a person is what they do when no one is watching, when there's no reward and no recognition, when it would be easier to walk away." He looked down at his hands. "When I heard scream, no one was watching. I could have stayed hidden in my shelter and no one would ever know, but I would know. I would have to live with that choice forever." "So you risked your life for your own conscience." "I risked my life because it was right, because that's who I want to be. Someone who helps when help is needed, even if it costs me everything." Was silent for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was softer than had ever heard it. "I have ruled this empire for 200 years. I have seen wars and betrayals and countless acts of cruelty and selfishness. I had come to believe that all beings, all species, were fundamentally the same, that everyone acted only in their own interest." She looked at with something new in her eyes, something that might have been wonder. "You have shown me otherwise, Park. You have shown me that true kindness exists, that some beings will sacrifice everything for nothing but the chance to help another." She reached out and placed her hand on his shoulder. It was a gesture of great significance in culture, reserved for close family. "You saved my daughter, but you have also given me something I had lost, hope." Felt tears prick at his eyes but held them back. "Thank you, Your Majesty." She corrected softly. "When we are alone, you may call me." It was an honor beyond anything could have imagined. He bowed his head in gratitude. "Thank you." She smiled, a real smile, warm and genuine. It transformed her face, making her look younger and kinder. "Now go," she said, returning to her formal tone. "I believe my daughter is waiting for you. Something about teaching you to play a card game if I heard correctly." Grinned. "She cheats terribly, you know. I don't think she even knows the real rules." "Of course she does. She's my daughter." And for the first time, they laughed together. A human and an empress, finding common ground in their love for one little girl. As walked back to his rooms, he realized something important. This alien palace, with its strange customs and suspicious nobles, had become his home. These people, so different from him in every way, had become his family. He was no longer just a survivor. He belonged. The human diplomatic ship arrived without warning. It dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of space and immediately broadcast a message. They were coming to negotiate the release of the human prisoner, Park. The news spread through the palace like fire. Finally, the humans had come to take their creature back. The alien would leave and things would return to normal. Heard about it from Commander, who told him with an unreadable expression, "Your people are here. A diplomat named. She demands to speak with you and the Empress." Demands raised an eyebrow. That seems bold. Humans often are, for better or worse. The meeting was arranged in the Great Hall. Stood to one side, watching as the human delegation entered. At their head was a woman about his age, with sharp eyes and a determined face. She wore the formal uniform of the human coalition, all black and silver. "I am representative of the human coalition," she announced. "We are here on behalf of our citizen, Park. We understand he has been held in your territory for over 6 months." Empress sat on her throne, cold and regal. "He has not been held, he has been protected. There is a difference." "With respect, Your Majesty, we would like to hear that from himself." Turned to look at him. "Are you here of your own free will?" All eyes turned too. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This was his chance. If he said no, if he claimed he was being held against his will, the human coalition would fight for his release. He could go home. He could see his parents again, walk under Earth's sky, breathe Earth's air. He thought about his mother's smile, his father's laugh, the small apartment where he grew up with its view of the mountains. Then he thought about her bright eyes and endless questions, about the way she called him O because she couldn't pronounce his full name, about the promise he had made to never leave her. "I am here of my own free will," he said clearly. "The Empress and her people have treated me with honor and respect. I choose to stay." His expression flickered, surprise, then confusion. "If you're being coerced in any way." "I'm not, I mean what I say." The room was silent, looked at him for a long moment trying to understand. Finally, she nodded slowly. "Very well, but I would like to speak with you privately, to confirm this without outside influence." The private conversation happened in a small garden just end. She studied him carefully, looking for signs of manipulation or fear. "You've changed," she said finally. "I read your file. Former medic, cargo pilot, no family connections to speak of. A simple man, but now." "Now what?" "Now you look like you belong here." She shook her head. "I don't understand. These people look down on us. They think we're primitive and violent. Why would you want to stay with them?" Smiled sadly. "Not all of them think that way, and I have people here who need me, people I care about." The princess had done her research. "You saved her life." "She saved mine too, in a way. She gave me a reason to keep going when everything seemed hopeless." Sighed. "I can't force you to come home, but your parents miss you. I have messages from them if you want them." That hit like a punch to the chest. He had tried not to think about his parents too much. It hurt too much. But now, knowing they had sent messages, knowing they were thinking of him. "I'd like that," he said quietly. "And I want to send messages back. Let them know I'm okay, that I'm happy." Happy? Looked around at the alien garden, the strange sky. "You're really happy here." "More than I've ever been in my life." The diplomatic discussions continued for 3 days. It was tense and complicated, with lawyers and protocols and centuries of distrust to navigate. But in the end, an agreement was reached. Would officially remain in territory as a cultural ambassador, a new position created specifically for him. In exchange, they agreed to open limited diplomatic channels with the human coalition. It was the first real peace between the two species, a small step but an important one. On the final night of negotiations, there was a formal dinner. Dignitaries from both sides gathered in the Great Hall, sat at a place of honor near the Empress and her family, kept sneaking glances at him, grinning. Everything seemed to be going well. Then the lights went out. In the darkness, heard screaming, the sound of weapons fire, bodies hitting the floor. He moved on instinct, grabbing the table and flipping it to create cover. He shouted, "Where are you?" Oh, her voice came from his left, terrified. He lunged toward the sound, grabbing her small body and pulling her behind the overturned table. Around them, chaos erupted. Guards fought against shadows. The sound of crystal shattering and metal clashing filled the air. A voice rang out through the darkness. "Find the human and the princess. End the contamination." Assassins. People who wanted to kill because she had bonded with a human. People who saw as a disease that needed to be removed. He heard footsteps approaching their hiding spot. 3 figures moving with deadly purpose. They had some kind of night vision, he realized. They could see in the darkness. He could not. But that did not matter. Push behind him. Stay down. No matter what happens, stay down. "Oh no. Promise me." "I promise," she whimpered. The assassins found them. Could see their outlines now, his eyes adjusting to the dark. 3 tall, dressed in black, carrying long curved blades. "The human," one of them hissed. "Kill him first, then the abomination princess." They attacked together. Had no weapon. He had nothing but his training and his body. It was not enough. He knew it was not enough. These were trained killers, and he was just a human who had learned to fight a few months ago. But was behind him, his little one, his promised child. He would not let them touch her. The first blade came at his throat, ducked, grabbing the assassin's arm and twisting. The blade fell. He caught it and slashed, cutting deep into the attacker's chest. The second assassin stabbed at his back, felt the blade pierce his shoulder. Pain exploded through him. He spun, driving his stolen blade into the attacker's neck. 2 down, 1 left. But the third assassin had gotten past him. While fought the first 2, the third had circled around. Now he stood over, blade raised. No, threw himself forward. He crashed into the assassin just as the blade came down. He felt the metal bite into his back, into his side, into his chest. 3 wounds, deep and terrible, but he did not stop. He grabbed the assassin's head and twisted with all his remaining strength. The assassin fell dead. Collapsed on top of him. Oh was beside him instantly, her small hands pressing against his wounds. "No, no, no, help, someone help." The lights came back on. Guards rushed into the room. Commander shouted orders. The human diplomat stared in horror at the scene. An empress pushed through the crowd, running faster than anyone had ever seen her move. She found her daughter crying over his broken body. Blood pooled around them both, staining his white dress red. "Get the healers," screamed. "Get them now." She knelt beside, her hands joining and pressing against the wounds. His eyes were half closed, his breathing shallow. "Stay with us," commanded, her voice cracked, all royal composure gone. "Do you hear me? You do not have permission to die. I forbid it." His eyes found hers. He tried to smile. Blood bubbled at his lips. "Had to protect her," he whispered. "Promised." "And you did," said fiercely. "You saved her again. Now you have to let us save you." The healers arrived. They carried away, rushing toward the medical chambers. Stayed with, holding her daughter tightly as the child sobbed. "He's going to die," cried. "Mother, he's going to die." Looked after his retreating form. She thought about the simple human who had asked for nothing, who had given everything. "No," she said quietly, "he will not, I will not allow it." But even as she said the words, she was not sure they were true. All she could do was wait, and hope, and pray to God she had stopped believing in long ago. For the first time in 200 years, Empress was afraid, floated in darkness. He could not feel his body. He could not see or hear anything. There was only the dark, peaceful, and endless. It would be easy, he thought, to just stay here, to let go of everything and drift away into nothing. But then he heard a voice. small and far away, like a bell ringing through fog. "Oh, please wake up, please." Yep. The darkness began to crack. Light poured through the cracks, warm and golden. Felt himself being pulled upward, away from the peaceful nothing, back toward pain and life and everything that came with it. His eyes opened. The first thing he saw was the ceiling of a medical chamber. Blue crystals glowed softly above him. The healing machines hummed their quiet songs. He was alive. The second thing he saw was, asleep in a chair beside his bed. Her small body was curled up like a cat. Her face was pale and tired, but she was there. She had not left him. Tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. He managed a small sound, a whisper of a word. His eyes snapped open immediately. For a moment she just stared at him. Then her face transformed with joy. "Oh," she threw herself onto the bed, wrapping her arms around him. "You're awake, you're alive. I knew you wouldn't leave me, I knew it." Careful croaked, still hurt. Pulled back, her eyes filling with tears. I'm sorry, are you okay? Does it hurt? Should I call the healers?" "I'm okay," he managed a weak smile. "How long?" 7 days, held up her fingers. 7 whole days you were asleep. Mother said you almost died 3 times, but you didn't. You kept fighting. You always keep fighting. 7 days. Absorbed this information slowly. He remembered the attack, the assassins, the blade cutting into him again and again. He should be dead. By all logic, he should be dead. "The healers said humans are strange," continued. "They said your body should have given up, but your heart just kept going. They said they had never seen anything like it." The door opened and Commander entered. He stopped when he saw was awake. Something passed over his face, something that might have been relief. "The human lives," said. "The Empress will want to know immediately." "Oh, just woke up," announced proudly. "Tell Mother to come quickly." Bowed slightly, a gesture had never seen him make before. Then he left. A few minutes later, the door opened again. Empress swept into the room, her silver eyes finding immediately. She did not rush. She did not show emotion. She walked calmly to his bedside and looked down at him. "You scared us," she said quietly. "Sorry," managed. "Don't be." She reached out and touched his forehead gently. "You did what you promised. You protected my daughter. The assassins are dead. The faction behind them has been identified and eliminated. There will be no more attempts." "Good." Let his eyes close for a moment. "That's good." "The council has met in your absence," continued. "Your status has been upgraded. You are no longer just Aura. You have been granted a new title, one that has never been given to anyone outside blood." Opened his eyes. "What title?" Smiled, a real smile, warm and genuine. "You are now officially recognized as a member of the royal family, not by blood but by bond. You are, in every legal and spiritual sense, family." Squealed with excitement. "That means you're my brother now, or something like that. Mother explained it, but I didn't understand all the words. The important thing is you belong to us forever." Felt tears forming in his eyes. He did not try to stop them. After everything he had been through, he had earned the right to cry. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you so much." Smile softened. "The human diplomat has left, but before she went, she said something I found interesting. She said you told her you were happy here, happier than you had ever been." "It's true." "I believe you." Sat down on the edge of his bed. It was an informal gesture, something an empress would never normally do. "But I want you to know that you are also free. If you ever want to return to your people to see your parents, the path is open. You will always have a home here, but you are not a prisoner." Thought about Earth again. His parents, his memories, the life he had left behind. He would always love that life. He would always miss it. But his heart was here now. "I'd like to visit them someday," he said. "I'd like them to meet. I think they would love her." Clapped her hands. "I want to see Earth. I want to see mountains and oceans and all the things O told me about." Perhaps that can be arranged, said thoughtfully. A diplomatic visit, the first princess to visit Earth. It would be historic. But my home is here, continued. With you, this is where I belong. Nodded slowly. Then here is where you will stay, Park, as family. The weeks that followed were busy, healed quickly, faster than the doctors expected. They said humans had remarkable recovery abilities, thought it might have been something else, something about having a reason to get better. When he was finally strong enough to walk, insisted on being his guide around the palace again. She showed him all the places they had visited before, talking constantly about everything he had missed during his 7 days of sleep. An elder gave a speech about you, she said excitedly. He said you represented the best of what humans could be, and Commander said you fought with honor. He actually smiled. Oh, I didn't know his face could do that. Laughed, it felt good to laugh. One afternoon brought him to the shuttle bay. She had a mischievous look on her face. I have a surprise for you, she announced. Mother said it was okay. She led him to a small shuttle, sleek and beautiful, a royal craft designed for comfort and speed, climbed into the pilot's seat and patted the seat beside her. Get in, she said. I'm going to teach you to fly. Stared at her. You can fly this. Of course, I've been taking lessons since you were asleep. I wanted to be able to show you the sky. She grinned at him. You saved me. Oh, now let me show you what I can do. Climbed into the co-pilot seat, still amazed. The child who had clung to him in the darkness of a ravine was now sitting confidently at the controls of a spacecraft. Hold on, said. She pushed a button and the shuttle lifted smoothly into the air. They rose through the atmosphere, leaving the palace far below. Through the viewport, watched the world transform. The purple sky faded into the blackness of space. Stars appeared, countless and beautiful. Look, said softly. She pointed out the window. The hung before them like a jewel, blue and green and white, wrapped in swirls of cloud. 2 moons orbited in the distance. And beyond that the galaxy spread out in all directions, infinite and wonderful. This is your home now, said. All of it. Every star, every world. You're part of us and we're part of you. Looked at the stars, then at the little girl beside him. A year ago he had been a simple cargo pilot with no real purpose. Now he was family to an empress and a princess, an adopted son of an alien empire, a bridge between 2 species. He had lost so much. His old life, years with his parents, but he had gained something too, something precious and irreplaceable. Thank you, he said softly, for everything. Thank you, oh, for saving me, for staying, for being my family. Below them, visible through the palace's main window, Empress stood watching the shuttle against the stars. She saw her daughter flying with the human who had become her son. She saw 2 people from different worlds, different species, different everything, connected by something stronger than blood. For the first time in 200 years, Empress let herself feel hope for the future. Not just for her empire or her species, but for the galaxy itself. Because if a human and a could become family, anything was possible. Allowed herself a rare smile. Then she turned back to her duties, carrying that hope with her like a light in the darkness. In the sky above, laughed as she showed how to do a barrel roll. The human shouted in surprise, then started laughing too. The stars watched them play, ancient and patient, witnesses to a new beginning. And somewhere far away on a little planet called Earth, 2 elderly parents received a message from their son. It was a video of sitting with a little blue-skinned girl who called him Oh. He looked healthy. He looked happy. He looked like he had finally found where he belonged. They watched the message 3 times, tears streaming down their faces. Their boy was alive. Their boy had found a family. And in the end, that was all that mattered.